And welcome back. This is Oopsy Daisy. I'm Ashley.
And I am Vanessa.
Alright, so before we start with today's episode discussion, I forgot to mention last podcast that it was Michael's birthday on January 15th. And we literally did the podcast like the day after his birthday.
How old is he now? Like 30?
32? 31? 32? Let me look it up.
What year is he born?
87?
Okay, so he's older than my sister then. Because she's 30. So that's why I was like, what are we going off by?
Yeah, so he's 32. He's 32, yeah.
What an old man.
Mm-hmm. Then we're not really that young either.
I mean, that's true.
I like to pretend that I am, but...
Same. I still think I'm like 10 in my mind.
Well, in my mind, I'm like at least like 22 maybe.
No, I'm like 10. I still
I'm
want...
a couple off.
You're
still, like a whole decade or so off.
I still try to watch Boy Meets World on a daily, okay?
Hey, Boy Meets World is not a kiddie show, okay?
It's iconic, and I love
it. I forgot to mention that last podcast. Also, Vanessa, you have something to share with...
Yeah, I was just searching up our podcast, like, online, just for the hell of it. Just wanted to see what was going on for it, and I stumbled upon the page on, like, iTunes Store and everything. And what got me laughing really hard was that there's a parental warning. It's like viewer discretion advised on it. And I'm like, what? What? There's nothing obscene. And then I remembered I just swear no matter, like, 10 million times in a video. And I'm like, yep, that'll do it.
A podcast about a family show from like a decade ago. It's just so edgy.
Yeah, like, here it is, yeah. It's like, parental advisory, explicit content, and I'm like, oh my god! I'm like, there's no nude
What
talk.
are we talking about?
Yeah, I was like, what have I said? And I'm like, oh no, it's just me constantly throwing down the F-bomb 24/7.
And also, for the Apple podcast, those are the leading for the views, right?
Yeah, now like the most listens now is Apple Podcast, so
that's just so bizarre to me.
It's popular.
Yeah. Like also for the last podcast, we wanted to start off the new year like with a really cool like intro, because when we first started, we were like, oh, we need a really cool intro, like something that kind of is upbeat, like Life with Eric's like theme song, but like something obviously not exactly like it.
And we found one.
We did find one, and it was like perfect. And it was like a royalty free, like all that and everything, except
it said no podcasts.
Like, what? Like, why? What does this guy have against podcasts?
Fuck Ben Sound and his hate for podcasts. Like, go on there. I bet you if you go to like Ben Sound's website and just go through his like music, you'll be able to find it and be like, this is it, this is the one, this is the one they wanted, and we can't take it, so we're turning to you, the listeners.
Yeah, if any of you at least know a good site that like gives free music, or if any of you like can make music, I mean, we would totally be down for using it, and we would obviously give you credit.
Yeah, like I can't use GarageBand to save my life. So that went out the window real fast. So if any of you know,
I can't.
If any of you know GarageBand and want to make
it doesn't even have to be anything fancy, just GarageBand. Like, I don't have a Mac, so I can't do it.
I mean, I have a Mac. I'm just dumb. So yeah, if you want to take on the challenge and be part of the podcast, please make us an intro. We'd be super happy.
It can just be like instrumental too. Like, you don't have to like sing or anything. Like, it could be very basic.
Yeah.
All right. So today's episode that we are talking about is Babe Raider.
Yeah. I just can't. It's just the biggest Tomb Raider ripoff. I'm pretty sure they're playing Tomb Raider and saying it's Babe Raider.
All right, well, we'll get to that in a minute. But so this episode, for those of you who may forget or do not know, which if you're listening to this, you have to know what Babe Raider is. But so the summary for this episode is: Casey notices Derek and Edwin playing a sexist video game, Babe Raider, and immediately launches a campaign against the sexist attitudes in the house. All right, so it starts out with Derek and Edwin playing Beyblade in the living room while Casey is trying to study or do a project. And like you said, it's a total Tomb Raider like ripoff.
No, it's
Like
literally
the way
probably just Tomb Raider, and they're like, "It's let's make a new case for this
it's
game and call it
Beyblade.
Babe Raider." And I'm like, "Uh."
Like I just know the basics of Tomb Raider, but from those basics, just how she's dressed and everything is Tomb Raider, no doubt.
Yeah, no, it's come a long way for it. Like when it first was released, it was like triangular boobs because they couldn't do like round shapes. And it's come a long way to now where it's actually realistic and it's like cool. But then, like when they're playing, it was at that point where it was like she's gonna need back surgery.
But also, they were both Edwin and Derek were playing. Okay, I don't see how there's a two-player like way to play this.
There
You
isn't.
only see one person like avatar playing, but they're both there on the couch, just like.
You know what it is? It reminds me of that, like, I don't even know. It's like always like a meme or something. It's like when your like little sibling wants to play too, so you just give them a random controller, and it makes they think they're
I
playing.
used to do that. I used to do that.
Derek was pulling that.
When Edwin, he should be old enough. At least when I did it to my brother, he was like 5, and I'm like, see, like it was like a football game, and he would want to play.
Okay.
And I was like, "Here, you play," and I pretend he's the other team, or like I pretend he's on my team, so that like whoever I was giving it to, like throwing the ball to, that was automatically him.
That's funny.
But
no,
but
he was...
Edwin's Deadwin again. Why am I saying
Edwin. It's the new thing, guys. Deadwin.
Edwin? He should be old enough to realize that. But anyway, so yeah, we're already picking on the Bay Raider game for not even the reasons Casey is, but
Because I'm a gamer, alright?
yeah. But anyway, Casey is like complaining to Derek and Edwin because they're making, noise. And it's like, Casey, they're downstairs. Why don't you just go to your freaking room? I mean, if you really want peace and quiet, just go to your room. But she doesn't.
No, she ain't smart. We know this.
And she goes to where they are playing, and she's all like appalled.
Well, she doesn't go until they're like engaging butt cam. She's like, "What the?"
She's like, "What?"
It's Bionic Woman, and she has a butt cam.
This game is like really like just what they say about it, because like all you see on the screen is just like her running through tombs,
and she's like, "Here I come, boys."
Yeah.
And I was like, "What is this?" Such a bad
There's
game.
one of the most bad like voiceovers for it.
Voice acting is atrocious.
But anyway, Casey starts complaining about it when she sees the game, because she says the character's all chest and legs and how the clothes are skin tight and they, just can't be comfortable. And then Derek makes this remark, it's like, "I know, she should take it off."
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
This is the family show, right? That kids are supposed to be.
This is why our podcast
we're
is
explicit because Life with Derek should have been
rated M.
Casey then figures out that her project will be on sexist games and why they should be banned.
I mean, the whole ban part, okay, like that's over the top, but sexist games, yes, I agree with that 100%. Just because you could be playing a medieval game and they design boob armor.
Everything's over exaggerated for no reason.
They design boob armor. There's no such thing. There was a huge thing about it.
Wait, no, because Derek actually says that, because he's like, "Oh, someone is just jealous of someone else's double D body armor."
And it's like a huge thing for video gamers, though, because guys are like, that's the woman's armor. They need to have that boob armor so their boobs can, like, be comfortable. And then they released a game this year where the woman was wearing normal men's armor, and they're like, "That's super uncomfortable. She needs the boob armor." We're like, "Really? That's what you're gonna go with? Okay, cool."
No.
Yeah, no, it's ugh.
No, it's just because it's also like, one, it's because they're they are sexist. 2, it's just they're so ignorant and clueless.
It's too funny.
Like, I feel like some of them do genuinely believe, like, no, they need that, like, form so that it's more comfortable. but it's just like, no,
No.
why? Like, if you have a huge gut, like some of
Yeah.
these guys do, like, do you
Gut
need
armor?
a shield
You need a
for
gut
that
armor?
armor? Do you need that, like, other, like, I'm just trying to picture an armor
Exactly.
like that.
There's no such thing. That's why I agree with her, like, her project, because it's an actual issue in the video game industry.
It's still an issue 10 years, 10, almost
Oh,
10
yeah.
and a half years
It
later.
100% is. You can go, it's all over Tumblr. Like, you see it no matter what.
Yeah, so I mean, it's still relevant today. That's so. Then Casey, it cuts to her in her room, and she's playing another video game, but it's like volleyball.
Yeah, and again, how's your back not broken? And she's not even playing. It looks like she's just
I
watching
mean,
it, and I'm like, what is happening?
like Lizzie comes in, and she's like, "Ew, what are you playing?" And now I honestly think it was that bad. Like, it's not for that. It's not like she was like wearing nothing. I mean, obviously her stomach was like exposed and she had like a
Yeah.
huge chest. But especially for like the video game quality back then, like
You know what?
these characters don't look like actual like people
No,
like
they
they do
don't. Like,
today.
what warrants that, like, response is how Casey answers the phone. Because that is cringeworthy and going,
So then, like right after that, right after Lizzie comes in, the phone rings and it's Sam on the phone asking for Derek. And oh my gosh. So Casey is just all giggly and cringy. And I guess, Sam asked, like, oh, where's Derek? And she's like, I can't keep track of him. I can barely keep track of myself sometimes.
You know what was missing from that whole dialogue? Was her either curling her finger in, like, the phone cord or, like, her hair. That's, like, the typical response for that.
Really. And then she even giggles, like, it's like, and Lizzie even rolls her eye.
Classic Lizzie.
At dinner, apparently their new male person is a chick.
The chicken?
That's how Derek says it, or Edwin. And then Marty thinks that means that the mailman is a chicken. Marty was so cute when she said that, though. She's like, our mailman's a chicken?
I mean,
or something like that.
she's always doing something like that, and it reminds me of the Vine where the girl is like, look at all those chickens.
Then Nora was like, no, they mean like she's a woman, basically. And Casey goes on a tirade of like, they should be calling her like a woman. They should be calling her a chick. And like, what's wrong with her being a woman? And of course, Derek's like, nothing, especially since she's a hottie.
Ugh, he's so cringed.
I know. It's like, because like, I don't know about you, but like me, I don't generally say things like that.
It's a different time.
Like, just like out loud like that. And just
like when something's completely out of time like that, like this whole dialogue is taking a page out of my sister's book and saying it's the 80s. Like it's something they did back then, like get over it kind of thing. But like it's so hard to, because it's so cringeworthy. Like Derek is so cringeworthy with his lines in this episode.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh yeah, she's a hottie. And then Edwin is like awkwardly agreeing, and it makes
He's
me
like,
uncomfortable. I know. You're so young, man. And he's like, oh yeah. I'm just like, no. Stop it, young child. This is why we're explicit.
Exactly why. So bad.
Oh, like it's already bad enough with Derek. We don't need you along with it, Edwin, okay?
It's so bad when they're playing though, and there's like butt cam. He's like, yeah.
I know, yeah. It's like literally
so bad.
Going back to okay, and then during this whole exchange, Derek brings up the fact that Casey has been there for a semester.
Like, I thought she was there for a semester, but he was like, you were only there for 3 months. So I'm like hella confused about that.
So either that the production order we've been going in is not right and the website lied to us, which is always very possible, or two, their semesters are not like 2 semesters, maybe they're like 3 or 4 in a year for them.
Possibly. Or the writing's off, which is 100% possible.
That's true too. The writing just could be off. Whatever. Oh, Casey's like, I've been thinking. And Derek just like rolls his eyes like, here we go. Because I can only imagine how many times a day Casey says something like that.
Probably like On the hour, every hour, you can tell time by it.
So Casey's like, the household needs to be more sensitive to women. And it flashbacks to a scene with Marty coming out of the bathroom saying the toilet seat was left up and she fell in.
I've done that before.
Oh, yeah, I think everyone.
It's scary, especially when you're like half
It is
asleep.
because you're just like ready to hit the seat, and all of a sudden you just keep going,
And you hit
like
water?
that, not even like an inch or so left. Like it's not even that big of a difference, but then it's like,
Yeah, and especially when you're half asleep.
oh yeah,
And
that
then
sucks.
it's like the worst thing ever. Then you're like ass is in the water and you're like, oh no.
And then apparently they sit on them to get what they want, and it shows Edwin sitting on Lizzie so he can watch TV. And it only made me think that if Derek ever did that to Casey, which I wouldn't doubt if he did or not.
Mm-hmm.
And what Casey finds most offensive that they do in the household is the sexist portrayals of women that are allowed in the house. And so she has written a whole list of things that she finds offensive, of course. Because this is Casey. What didn't she not have a list of?
Because she's dramatic AF.
And it's the feminist manifesto.
Okay, isn't a manifesto always something like serial killers have? Like, that's what came to my mind.
We gotta put that in your notes.
I know, that's why I said it. Let me write that down. Where's my pen? Casey writing manifestos like a serial killer. Writing.
Because you gotta prepare your TED Talk, Vanessa.
No, that's why I'm like going through these episodes and finding stuff. If you guys are just tuning in or don't remember, I'm preparing a TED Talk to why I think Casey is a sociopath. I have some things, but I need more evidence, and I want Ashley Leggett to like be on this episode.
We sent out something to Ashley on Twitter, and she never responded back to that.
But no, when I asked her about a hockey question, she was like on top of that in a second.
Yeah, maybe you have to send it out to her.
Maybe because we're best friends.
Obviously, because you're BFFs.
Yeah. I would bring that up 100%, by the way.
So they said, like, Nora's like, and we're all feminists here, right? And she looks to George, and George's like, of course we are. And Derek's like, we can't be feminists, we're guys.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right here. The way he acts in that moment, I'm like, oh, he's one of those meninists, isn't he? That's the first thing.
Well, I think we can all agree that Derek, especially in the first season or so, is definitely one of them.
He's one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean,
I hate
that's
it.
the way he acts in this episode, and a couple others especially. You're just like, ugh, Derek.
Mm-hmm.
Casey's like, feminism is for everyone, even those unevolved, or something. And then Edwin says he doesn't want to be evolved.
Oh, God.
And this is where Derek called the manifesto the Womafesto.
What a meninist thing to do.
And basically, George succumbs to Nora's stare and agrees that he and the boys will follow Casey's manifesto. Okay? So then it cuts to the kitchen with George, Derek, and Edwin, and they are reading the manifesto. George says that the stuff on the list is, reasonable. And, the boys are like, we're not actually going to do this, are we? And George is, like, oh, come on, guys, just, do it. He's like, the marriage is still new, and then he wants Nora to see that they're all in this together. Also, when he's saying this, though, he doesn't say Nora. I swear he says new mom.
I don't recall. I watched it at 1 a.m. And
he says he's like, the marriage is still new, and he's like, and I want your new mom to see that we're all in this together. I swear he says new mom.
I mean, it's possible.
And if he does, I don't know. It's just I understand you want to show that this family is joined and together, but it's just they still have a mom. And from what we see in a season or so, she's not necessarily a bad mom.
He makes it sound like she's dead.
I know. Maybe she was dead in the beginning.
And then they'd randomly decided that she was risen from the dead.
I don't know. Because they never really say anything. They never even like talk about her up until like they introduce her. I feel
Did
like.
they ever say why they divorced?
No, I don't think so.
I've like all I have in my mind is like stuff I've read. So I'm like, what
Right.
is the
And like
truth?
either Abby is like a total bitch and like she didn't want kids, she wanted to be career driven and like basically she hates Derek. Like that's like always like a fanfic trope.
Yeah, so I don't know
Or
what's
she's
true.
dead.
I have no idea.
And I think because they didn't introduce her until season 3, a lot of that fanfic stuff was what people went with. So, but anyway, I just still think that's weird. Like, you know, they barely know Nora, and as much as they like her, I wouldn't really consider, like, at least put that on his boys to be like, this is your new mom. Like, no, like, she's just this, like, figure that, you know, is in that place, but not necessarily have to be your mom.
Truth.
And so, to get the boys to comply, George asks them, like, oh, what do you want? And then he promises Edwin some computer thing. And then Derek's like, oh, I can't be bought.
You can't be
Which is
bought.
such a lie.
You can be bought like anyone can be bought. I can be bought with food, so
Then Derek's, you know, he says he can't be bought. So then George threatens Derek that he won't be able to use George's car to drive when he's 16. So he has to go along with this, or he can't do that when he's 16. So the rule number 1 of the manifesto is no playing Beyblade in the house. And Edwin immediately asks, does the garage count as the house? Well, luckily, number 2 on the manifesto is the garage counts as the house. I think that should be more like 1A.
yeah, probably, but
Like, because that doesn't really sound like a rule. Like,
it to be fair, like it'd be really cold. Like imagine playing that out there. You'd be freezing.
we used to keep our sodas in the garage because it would get so cold and it would be just like the refrigerator. And then sometimes during the winter, some of the things would explode because it would get so cold. But yeah, garages get really cold.
Yeah.
So, and then Derek exclaims after he reads number 3 that he will not do that one. And then it cuts to Derek's room where Derek is trying to prevent George from taking down this one poster of his.
George's line is like the best line.
I know. And then number 3 of the manifesto is apparently it requires Derek to take down all like his bikini model posters on his wall. Like he has to take down degrading images or something like that. And George, he tells Derek, like, Derek, I agree. There's no greater contribution to the culture than the modern thong.
But the thong must come off the wall. It's the best line.
Just the way he says it, though, it's just like it really. He really knocked that out of the park.
True.
But Derek argues that it is his room. Nora and Casey, they shouldn't be able to just throw out his stuff.
Did you
Which-
have obscene pictures of like men on your wall?
No, not like I don't think so.
Let's I know about your flash posters. I know about this.
Well, you know what? I had a wrestling phase,
Okay.
so all those guys are sure.
But like I know about your shrine to Grant.
Your what?
Your shrine to Grant.
I don't have a shrine to Grant.
Or do you?
No, I don't.
That's what they all say.
I don't have a shrine to Grant. I have a superhero wall, so he's on there like twice. But shut up, Vanessa. No, but he's not like shirtless in any of them.
Okay. Okay.
But like, I someone who loves posters on my wall, so like I get what Derek's saying. Like it's his room; he should be able to express himself in the way he wants to be. So like, and I went through a Nick Jonas phase where like most of my wall was Nick Jonas, but again, they weren't shirtless.
You're one of those people. I like never really had posters on my wall.
Oh yeah, I love posters. Like,
They
at
rip
one
really
point, my
easily.
whole room was filled with posters. Not
Dope.
so much anymore. I just have, like, a wall dedicated to the posters. Anyway, so George ensures Derek that he's not throwing it out. He's just throwing it away until this blows over. But then Nora comes in telling George that, you know, she had to throw out his automotive magazines since they were, like, draped with, like, these women with, you know, almost no clothes on. And George is like, but why? Like, they had some really good articles in it. And I feel like that's also why, like, that's the excuse that a lot of guys give for those kind of things. Like, oh, the articles are really good in it. Like, I think I heard that excuse for, like, Playboy. That it's, like, all, like, good articles and everything. I didn't even know they had articles for the longest time.
I still didn't know. How old were you when you found out about this? The age of today.
When you found out Playboy had articles.
Yeah.
George says, like, oh, but it has really good articles. And Nora, she's like, but you don't know anything about cars.
Exactly.
And George's like, exactly. That's why I need the article. Nora should just, like, go in and, like, cut out all the articles and then just give them to George. Be like, here, I saved all the articles.
That reminds me of the Malcolm in the Middle thing when the mom, like, cut out all the women's heads of the Playboy magazines and put her heads on them, and the kids wouldn't open them.
That's terrible. Oh my gosh.
She's like, you won't be looking in these anymore.
I would say if Casey did that to Derek, I don't think it would backfire as what she would hope.
Oh no, it would fire. It would be straight up fire. It would be straight up fire for Derek.
Oh God's sake. So Nora ends up taking the posters instead of George. So there's a pretty good likelihood that a lot of his stuff got trashed. So Derek tells George that they are not real men, since real men wouldn't let this happen.
Meninous!
And again, he's trying to manipulate his father. Just like he did in that episode where the girls were adding their women touch to things. Like, he did the same thing to George then. So Sam is over in Derek's room, and Sam suggests that they play Babe Raider. But Derek, you know, he's complaining about the manifesto and saying, like, they can't because Casey, like, has banned basically anything degrading of women. Then Sam's like, okay, well, can I have a snack then? And so Derek's like, yeah, go get it. And the one thing that I find funny in this exchange is that he asks Derek if he wants a snack, like if he wants anything too. And then Derek responds back, yeah, I want my posters back. Like, he's so butthurt.
Yeah. I think it wouldn't be bad if it was just like Nora took them down, but it's because Casey kind of forced him to. That's why he's super butthurt about it.
Yeah, I think if Nora had come up with this on her own and she was the one that's like, hey, we should probably take these down, I don't think he'd be resisting as much. But because it stemmed exactly from Casey and this manifesto, he's really clashing against it. So anyway, Sam and Casey meet in the hallway outside of Derek's room. And Casey sees that Sam has her manifesto in his hand. And she tells him that, yeah, I know, it's kind of silly.
She does such a 180 though, like...
Well, that's the thing, like, she doesn't really become herself when she's with Sam.
Yeah, no, it's like, this is
kind of
important.
wishy-washy. She's very wishy-washy.
Yeah, she's like, oh, it's just stupid, I know. And I'm like, bitch, you were just preaching this.
Yeah. So, and then Sam reassures her that it's not silly and that he thinks it's pretty cool. He has 3 sisters, and they're all into the feminist stuff, too. And so Casey asks if he believes in it then, you know, feminism. And he says he doesn't mind it, but to not let Derek know he thinks that.
Well...
Sam.
I know, it's great, right?
Sam's not that great of like, he's kind of fake in a way.
He is.
He's not going to be, and I know that's all like peer pressure and everything, but it's just like, own up to it, man. So then they end the conversation with Sam's like, I have to go raid your refrigerator. And then Casey's like, raid away.
It's so dumb. I can't. This shit's so cringeworthy, these lines. End the pain and suffering for us, please.
Yeah, and then it shows kind of like Casey's even more like enamored by like Sam. So I never liked Sam as a love interest.
Same.
So so we're in the cuts to the kitchen with Derek, Edwin, and Nora, and Derek says he needs to talk to Nora, and he really like goes in on his dad because she's like, "Oh, you sound just like your dad," and he's like, "Yeah, but I'm not a pushover," like.
Oh, man. That's the
which
shit that
which
gets
George
you in
is a
trouble.
pushover for sure, but
It's some, like, shit's gonna get you in trouble when you say stuff like that.
So Derek, is complaining about the feminism thing. Say it's not fair for him to have to take down his favorite posters. Nora is like, those women were half naked. And he's like, but art galleries are filled with pictures of fully naked women.
Dude, really? Let's go!
Edwin!
So bad. He sounds very, like, worse than Derek half the time in this episode.
I know, he does. That's what's so scary.
It's bad. He's 2. Stop it.
Like, he's been so badly influenced by Derek. It's ugh. Like, Derek's making a point, and then Edwin's just, like, getting all creepo with it. He's just like, whew. It's like, dude, you're gonna go to an art museum just to stare at these pictures? Like, not in just, like, the way that, like, it's like, oh, yes, that's a very beautiful picture. It's, like, just zoning in.
On the
right
nip.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel ya. They creepy as fuck.
Okay.
They creepy AF.
Nora tries to tell the boys that feminism isn't about men losing power, it's about equality. So Nora offers to give Derek the feminine mystique to read to help him understand. And Derek agrees and asks what else he can do for the cause. And of course, Nora is just like, oh, you can, do the dishes and clean up the kitchen. And of course, Derek tries to immediately hand off that responsibility to Edwin. But I do love what Edwin says next because I just find it funny. Derek's like, Edwin, just do it. And then Edwin's like, you can't tell me what to do. You're not a woman.
Yeah, that. I was figuring it was that. I'm like, hey, wait for it to come back because I can always see it like fade to light blue instead of being the darker purple. And I'm like, oh, it's cut her out again. Let's wait for it to come back. A lot of technical difficulties this podcast.
Yeah, so sorry about that. If it sounds even weirder than usual.
Yeah.
So, Casey, who has been listening to the whole conversation from the dining room, she marches in saying some guys don't mock feminism. Some guys believe in it. And, Derek says he doesn't know of any. And, okay, Casey completely rats out Sam.
Oh, yeah, she totally 100%. He's like, don't say anything. She's like, I won't. Sam's a feminist!
But seriously, yeah, like, after he just said, like, oh, don't tell Derek, she's just like, oh, Sam loves feminism. Like,
yeah.
Saying he wouldn't degrade women by putting up posters and playing Babe Raider. They go to the living room now. That Derek shows Casey that Sam not only plays Babe Raider, but that he has the high score, making him the king of babes. So she goes to say that Sam would never do that. But when she says that, she says, my Sam. My Sam would never do that.
I hate it so much.
And
so
I always thought the expression on Derek's face here is interesting because it's very small and it's not like it really gets like a lot of tension, but it's not really one of amusement or disgust. It's just kind of like confusement, kind of like I can't really explain it, but it's just like it's not the expression on his face is not something that you would think it would be. Like I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah.
There's something if you watch it next you can look at and see. But anyway, so Sam then comes in at that point, and he's sporting a Babe Raider shirt. And he says he's ready to raid some babes.
Do you know what that makes it sound like? I'm gonna 100% be honest here. It makes it sound like he wants to go out and rape women.
Until you said that, I hadn't really thought of that, but now,
like,
oh my god, that puts a really creepy like turn of events there.
You were not feeling that creepiness at all? I
I
did.
didn't think of it until you just said it now.
My bad.
Now it's just like he's the king of babes.
Eh.
Yeah, okay. So, but he isn't. This is what I don't get. So he was like over maybe the day before,
Yeah, he should know that
and he
you
asked
can't.
like, "Oh, can we play Babe Raider?" And Derek was like, "No." So he comes over to play Babe Raider.
Yeah, I maybe he
Like
thought because he
Casey
told
was still
Casey.
home. Was Casey supposed to be somewhere else? Like it's
Maybe
just.
he thought that like because he said he was a feminist, he would let him. Who knows?
I don't. Okay, whatever. So anyway, and then it cuts to Casey with Paul. She's like, the real world is a sad place. It's kind of an extreme, just because she found out her crush likes playing a game. But okay.
Oh God.
I mean, and then she's saying that Paul, that a guy that she thought she likes a sexist game that she hates, that she despises, but she doesn't despise him over it, and that makes her a hypocrite. And her heart is saying one thing while her brain is saying another.
Ugh, I
And he
hate
tells
it.
her, which I think this is really solid advice here, that he can't generalize her. He can't generalize like Sam and basically put everyone in a box. You
That's
know,
true.
that everyone who plays this game is also this. Like, it's not black and white like that. You have people who play this game who are like Derek, and then you have people who play this game who are like Sam, and it's just like two separate things.
Play it like Sam. You mean a rapist?
They're not to the extreme of either way just because you play a game. But anyway, so he even suggests that she play it to see it for herself. And it hints that Paul plays the game, which I thought was weird, but
Yeah, he was talking about the turbo level.
whatever that is.
Maybe it's the this topless level that Derek speaks of.
That's really creepy to talk about with your student.
That's why he changed it to the turbo level.
So anyway, then it cuts to Derek in his room, and he's reading stuff from the feminine mystique to someone on the phone. And Nora and Lizzie are creepily outside his room listening. And Nora feels like all accomplished because she thinks like she's made a really good impression on Derek.
I feel
When,
like Lizzie knew that she was
yeah,
all shit.
yeah, Lizzie was just like, yeah, you have made no impression whatsoever. Because Derek is literally only doing this to score a date.
Mm-hmm.
Then we cut to, it's like in the middle of the night, and Deadwin, my god, why do I keep saying that?
It's the new thing, Deadwin.
Edwin.
It's the most horrible name ever. Like, you've started a ship without wanting to. Deadwin.
So Edwin just got out of the bathroom, and Casey like completely like grabs him. She like covers his mouth, and like she forces him downstairs and tells him to put on Babe Raider. Edwin asks why she should be allowed to play when they're not, and Casey responds, "I'm a woman, so I'm allowed to offend myself."
She ain't wrong.
It's funny, and then like Edwin's obviously even more confused about everything. And apparently Casey has been trying to turn the game on for like an hour,
It's so dumb. There's a
which I don't understand why it takes that long. Because like it shows that she didn't even have like the game in the console. The one thing I could see maybe where she would get tripped up is like putting it on like the input on the TV. You know what I mean?
probably.
But she didn't even have the game in the console, so I don't know what she was trying to do for an hour.
I never know either.
But Casey has Edwin teach her how to play the game. And one of the things that she learns while, learning it is that the torpedoes get shot from her breasts.
It's the torpedo rockets. Is this like a Dr. Evil, like, one of the fembot things where they're like shooting from the breasts
Oh my god.
in Austin Powers? Is it one of those things?
I don't know. But anyway, of course, then it like cuts to a scene where like Casey is so intensely into it, and this is totally Ashley Leggett like in
Yeah,
her
because she's a
game.
gamer.
She's a gamer, so she was like, "Yes, this is me. This is."
But no, like I was watching that scene and I was like, yeah, the time you killed me in Call of Duty.
So Casey ends up loving the game. The next morning, everyone goes out for pancakes, and she's alone. And Sam rings the doorbell, and so she answers it in her pajamas.
Classic.
And Sam's like, "Oh, nice PJs." He comes over to play Babe Raider at their house because his sisters don't allow him to play Babe Raider in his house. So eventually, they end up playing Babe Raider together, and he's just like, "Just when I think I have you figured out," and Casey's like, "I know, I'm confusing." That is the understatement of the damn year, Casey. So Derek comes flying in, like, not long after that, like, interrupting a little moment between them. He's, like, on a sugar high or something from eating all the pancakes, whatever.
Pancakes.
And so Sam leaves. But the next scene is really cringy, too, because Casey is dreaming. And in her dream, she's Babe Raider, okay? And for how long this scene's on for, like at least half of it, she's just punching and kicking in the air.
She's just going.
It's like it's all like foggy and everything in the room. It's like dark, and it's just like okay.
And then you just have Sam who's just laying on the ground going, yeah.
And like the person she beats up to save Sam is like this zombie thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then when she saves Sam, he's like, "You're the king of babes." And Casey's like, "More like the queen of babes."
And puts on a crown.
I know. My gosh.
I hate this show so much.
And then it cuts back to her like still sleeping, and she had like this little smile on her face. It's like, oh my god. The next morning in the kitchen, everyone is in the kitchen eating breakfast when Casey walks in, and she's wearing the Babe Raider style outfit. All at once, everyone just like kind of sees her and like looks at her, and Derek's mouth just like opens. And he says ew.
It's not an ew.
Yeah, it's just not all that convincing to me. Especially since he keeps looking at her.
Oh, yeah.
But then, like, George, Edwin, and Derek go into the living room, and Edwin is asking about what Casey is wearing, and George clueless. He has no idea what's happening. And so Derek goes on this whole, like, rant. He's, like, saying that we had to throw out our offensive material, but Casey can dress in offensive material. And Edwin's saying he doesn't get feminism at all. And, I mean, it is really a complicated thing.
I mean, feminism is just equality. That's it.
That's basically it. Like, no matter what, like in this instance, yes, Casey's wearing something that might be considered offensive, but she's wearing it, she likes what she's wearing, and she shouldn't be judged for what she's wearing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what the big thing is that guys, they'll see what she's wearing and assume that she wants to be like...
She's a sloot!
Well, that she's trying to gain attention, when that's not necessarily what she's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So Casey, then it goes to Casey at school with Emily.
Okay, Emily's not bad this
episode she's actually good. Like talking sense.
She's actually a good person.
But she's totally, dissing what she's wearing. She's just like, this is more Casey than I'm used to seeing. And
it's, like, I love how it's like her arms are showing and her stomach is showing.
Well, yeah, like it's just like she's wearing like a tank top, and like
it 80s.
Rides up a bit.
It's different then. You can't be wearing anything other than your like long dress and hat.
Which, like,
the 80s.
To be fair, if guys wore muscle shirts to school, like they rarely got called out.
No, they don't.
They're distracting because they see a girl arm.
I know, that's what it is. It's like, you can't wear that. You're distracting the guys, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry that my shoulder is so provocative.
Okay, but guys wearing... It's depending on the guy, obviously. But guys wearing muscle shirts, too. That can be distracting. If they
True,
have
but you don't see anyone saying, you're distracting the women. Put some clothes on. they'd never. I remember that in school, like guys would be wearing like football guys and wrestling guys all had like jacked arms and they're wearing like muscle
Mm-hmm.
shirts and no one cared. It's super hot out, and then a girl's like wearing a tank top and they're like, "Your shoulders too revealing. You're
Mm-hmm.
distracting people." And
Especially because you see their bra strap and it's like,
I'm like, hmm.
so yeah, it's total double standard that way. But Casey tells Emily that, the outfit is empowering for her and that she changed her mind about her presentation, that she's not going to say, that it should be banned, that she thinks it's actually a good thing. And then this is where the famous scene, Casey walks by down the hall. She walks by Sam and Dean. What the hell? This is not supernatural.
I was wondering. I was like, what? Oh my god! I was thinking in my head, you're like Sam and Dean. I'm like, who's Dean? What the fuck? You're so dumb.
Sam
I
and
love it.
Derek.
I love how it's not written Dean anywhere either. And you just can't read his name. Oh man.
Casey walks by Sam and Derek. I almost said Dean again. What the hell? All right. And they are both looking like awestruck as she goes by. And Sam goes, "Dude, your stepsister is..." And then Derek says, "Don't you dare finish that sentence."
He's like, don't think what I'm thinking.
Derek just totally had an awakening that 100% that his stepsister is hot and he hates himself.
It's true.
And then Sam at this point lets it slip that Casey played Babe Raider. And that
Well,
not
she
only...
called him out. It's only fair he calls her out.
Yeah, but I don't think she told Sam to not tell Derek.
True. Truth.
So it's not like he betrayed her trust, it's just Casey betrayed Sam's trust. So, and then Derek saying like, no, that would be against her morals. And then Sam insists that she does and that she's actually really good. So obviously Derek is pissed at this new information and he confronts Casey, like he goes after her. And she's in this group surrounded by guys and they're talking about the outfit when Derek comes up telling her she's a hypocrite. Casey admits that she was wrong about Babe Raider, that she is actually a great role model for women. But then this is when Derek reveals that there is a topless level.
I doubt that would be a thing, but okay.
Well, one, that's what I'm thinking. Like, Derek now probably totally thinks of Casey for that topless level, if there is one.
It's his dream. Her dream is like fighting zombies and punching air, and his dream is the topless level featuring Casey.
But also, I don't know if that would technically be an actual level.
No, it
Like,
sounds
I think
fake,
Derek is
but okay.
lying.
Yeah.
I think he's, he says he's never been there, but he says that Sam has, since he's that good. And he's trying to discredit Sam. And he's throwing Sam under the bus, since he knows Casey thinks he's a saint.
That is true.
So, it's definitely interesting that he goes about it the way he does. And then Casey starts having this realization that maybe she only wanted to think of Babe Raider as good so that she didn't have to stop liking Sam. Which, I wouldn't doubt that was part of the case, because when you like someone, sometimes you start liking something that they like.
Mm-hmm.
But Casey genuinely does like Babe Raider, but she's just really kind of beating up on herself about it. And here, guys, this is monumental, but we're gonna praise Emily.
That's like she never gets praised, so this is like
Emily
is ridiculous.
Was actually a really good friend to Casey at this point. She listened to Casey's problem. She told, Casey that she was just confused. And, she didn't make it seem like that was a bad thing. And then she gave her a much needed hug. So that's like, now she's like 1 for 300.
Yeah,
It's
pretty much.
like-
It's a 1 in 10 million chance of her
Yeah.
being good.
But so Emily, she did really good there. So kudos to Emily.
We'll never see it again.
Well, we don't know. We have to watch the rest of the series.
I'm just saying,
But
if it's going this way, it's 1 in a
She was
million.
a good friend here. Okay. So, and then it cuts to Casey in class giving her presentation, though she's dressed differently. Where she got these clothes from, I don't know, but she's dressed differently. She's not wearing the Babe Raider outfit, and she's talking about how one look at Babe Raider, and it looks very sexist, and it gives, girls impossible standards to live up to. And then, but also, first, like, before we talk about that, she was sitting down on a desk during her presentation.
She needs the height to convey power.
But my sister, God, I can't speak today.
It's okay, Dean. You're all right.
My teachers would never allow that.
Really?
I would never be allowed to sit on anything, really, to give a presentation. You would have to stand.
I mean, true.
And then going back to the presentation, she says that the game can turn boys into drooling pigs.
Mm-hmm.
And despite all these, bad things about it, she still loves it, she says. And as a girl, she found it empowering. It's about a woman who is strong and strategic and can defend herself against a threat.
Hashtag Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Literally Tomb Raider. Or Horizon Zero Dawn. Shit's good. Play it.
So she says then, so why do guys only make girls powerful if they can oogle them?
Oogle.
And I think that's a really good line.
It's true, though.
And so as she's saying the presentation, it cuts to her, saying the speech to Nora and Lizzie.
You go, sister.
And as they finish, they clap, and Lizzie says that, and that is getting cringe.
This show is just cringe. It's the 80s. Remember this. Times were different.
So she apparently passed around a petition to keep the games coming and the woman powerful, but that the guys designing them need to get real.
This is still the struggle. Yes,
it is.
I would sign that petition.
And apparently only the girls in the class signed it.
Of course. The guys want the boob armor.
We're all the guys in that class is complete idiots.
Yeah.
That's just...
And then you have Sam that comes up out of nowhere and secretly signs it. Don't tell Derek.
I know. I'm like, come, don't tell again. Dude, grow a backbone. Come on now.
He's ashamed of caring about women, apparently.
But then, basically right after that, he's like, also, the Babe Raider that outfit this morning.
It's bad.
Like, okay, Sam.
I hate it so much. I just hate this episode.
And basically, that scene ends with Lizzie and Marty kind of teasing Casey again about Sam. But then the episode ends in Derek's room, and Derek's still going on about his feminine side and basically tricking women into dating him because they think he's a feminist, which great, Derek.
Horrible.
And Edwin gets concerned that his brother that the brother he knows and fears is changing on him. And Derek tells him to relax, not to worry, because he's still there. He's just covering it up, basically. And then he lifts the poster.
He has his speakeasy of a poster.
Yeah. He lifts up a poster of some band, and it reveals the thong one.
Which he probably fished out of the garbage for.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
He is disgusting.
Well, that is true, so it probably doesn't change the smell of his room.
Yep.
So, alright, so that was the end of that episode. We spoke a lot.
That was a really, really long episode.
There was a lot to dissect in that episode. I feel like a lot of the other episodes, I mean, they were kind of lighter, and there wasn't that much to talk about. But with this one, there was a lot to say.
That is true.
again, like I watch it and I'm like, there wasn't really that many Daisy moments.
No, there isn't.
Just kind of where he looks at her after seeing her in the outfits.
Ew.
But besides that, they didn't even really interact that much in this episode.
No, they really don't. It's literally just him like pretending not to be attracted to her in her outfit. That's it.
But yeah, I thought it was, again, it's like you think one thing and then you watch it again after so many years and you're like, huh,
Makes you
okay,
think.
okay. Yeah, I think that's it. We spoke a lot about this episode. Um, we did get questions, but I think we're gonna save that for next time. All right. So the next episode we're going to be talking about next time is the wedding.
Mmm. Is that the one where what's her face is there?
Vicky,
Yes.
the first appearance of Vicky.
You mean Casey 2.0?
Oh, yes.
The one who plays Casey in all music video GIF things?
The what? Oh, oh,
The one who
oh, oh, oh,
pretends
yeah,
to
yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
Casey?
All right. So that's the one that we're doing next. That's all for right now. Bye bye.
Peace. My butt does not hurt.